The Houston Rockets just traded Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, and a handful of picks to acquire the 15-time All-Star Kevin Durant. In this video, we're going to look at how good KD is right now approaching 37 years old, and how exactly his current skill set will fit with the Rockets. Now, the first and obvious thing Durant's going to bring to Houston is floor spacing. The Rockets last year averaged 12.5 made threes per game, which put them in the bottom third across the NBA, but they're now adding one of, if not the best spot-up shooter across the league. First, KD last year shot 45% on all his catch-and-shoot threes, and mechanically he checks literally every box as a spot-up shooter, always catching with a stable base, to then get the ball from his pocket to set point in one smooth motion. And then on top of that quick trigger, Durant also stands at a towering 6'11" with a high release point. So if you give him any type of airspace off the catch, there's nothing stopping him from cranking off a three.
Touch pass, KD, corner look.
Now, Durant also has the ability to shoot on the move. He's not always the most active player off the ball, but he for sure has the footwork and balance to work off different actions, to then organize his feet for more stable looks. One thing Phoenix did a lot of last year was use Durant as a screener both on and off the ball, and this was enough by itself to consistently free him up for more clean jumpers. And this is most likely going to be a big staple in Houston's offense next year, because unlike Tyus Jones, the Rockets have Amen Thompson, who can actually turn the corner and put legit pressure on the rim. And once Thompson gets a head of steam going downhill, he's easily one of the most explosive paint scorers across the league. Imagine on this play we have Thompson handling the ball, with Durant coming up to set this pick, and that driving threat pulls KD's man across, opening up this routine pick and pop pass. But then in the inverse way, KD picking and popping will also give Thompson more space off these screens. Because Amen is typically receiving picks from bigs like Şengün and Adams, who aren't real outside shooting threats, the bigs defending these actions can sit back in a deep drop. But Durant spacing out behind the line will force the big to step up to the level, making it easier for Thompson to get clean blow-bys. And Durant simply spotting up off the ball is enough by itself to give Houston's playmakers more room to work with, where again, Durant just isn't a guy you can afford to help off of. Imagine we have Alperen Şengün here diving towards the rim, which pulls the weak side defense down, and just like that, KD can relocate for a practice shot.
Durant finds his shot.
Now, even in his late 30s, Durant still has the game off the dribble to isolate and create his own shot. He may have lost the quickness to create blow-bys, but he can still size up his man and rise up for jumpers over the top. Off the bounce, KD still has great pace. He's great at pushing back and lulling the defense asleep, to then quickly gather and fire. And whenever teams decide to switch with slower footed bigs, he always has a field day, where he can again just size them up, to then set up his go-to hezzy pull-up. So whether he's shooting off the catch or dribble, KD is easily one of the most efficient and dynamic perimeter scorers across the league. He can shoot off the catch or move, he's very effective at picking and popping, plus he has the game off the dribble to create space for more jumpers. And what's also crazy is that this isn't even the best part of his game, because last year KD was one of the most efficient and high volume mid-range scorers across the league. This past year, for all players who attempted at least 6 mid-range pull-ups per game, Durant had the highest field goal percentage by a pretty wide margin. Now, when looking at how Durant generates these looks, I think he does his best work facing up in the mid-post, where he's elite at protecting the ball, reading the defense, and finding these windows to elevate. Look how he's going to catch and bring the ball to his outside shoulder, and once he feels that space, he's just going to bring it up and turn into his jumper. Now he's going to catch and protect the ball on that outside hip, to then bring it over and across, and once the defense drops their hands, it's pretty much a wrap.
The defense on Durant, who says,
and like we saw with his three-point shooting, Durant also has the footwork to work off different screening actions below the arc. And no matter where his momentum is pulling him, KD has the stability to always catch and turn for a stable jumper. Whether he's moving lateral across the paint or drifting up towards the free throw line, every jumper is always smooth and in rhythm. And then even if he doesn't get a quick shot right on the catch, he can then transition into his isolation bag, where he can face up for more jumpers or catch and attack into open space.
Trying to stay attached to Durant.
And again, while Durant may have lost his burst off the dribble, he still has the handle to work to his spots. And this is where I don't think he gets enough credit for how strong he is. He obviously doesn't have the most physically imposing frame, but he is good at lowering his shoulder to carve out these driving angles. Right here, he's matched up with Jrue Holiday. And watch KD just lower his shoulder and attack to his right, to then bump and spin across the paint. He's going to set up this drive by floating out to his left, to then slide the ball between back to his right. And once he gets the defense on his hip, he's able to keep the straight line drive, to then stop on 2 for his pull-up. And like we've seen, if Durant's man plays picture perfect defense by sliding and keeping themselves in front, he still has countless of ways to create separation to get his jumper off. On this play, Durant's first going to open up his stance, setting up this crossover to his right. But then after Jared Allen slides and walls him off, look how KD is going to create some additional space by lowering his shoulder and planting that right foot, separating out for a quick step back. Another one of KD's go-to shots is his Dirk fadeaway, where he typically elevates off his left foot and lifts that right knee, creating a bunker for him to get his shot off. Kyle Kuzma on this play is both able to close off this drive and absorb the shoulder bump, but even while being right in his face, Durant can still elevate off 1 foot and find that shooting window. And while handling the ball, Durant still has pretty good footwork and control, being able to string together combinations and attack his spots, to then step 1-2 for balanced jumpers. Watch him here hit this aggressive crossover to his right, to then take one dribble into this left-right jumper. I also like this move here, where he first beats Allen with this change of pace half spin, and then as Mobley rotates across, Durant can stop on 2 and elevate for his jumper. So with the ball, KD for sure has the size, skill, and shot making to be an elite scorer from 3 and the mid-range. But there are other parts of his game that are starting to erode. First, Durant's ability to put pressure on the rim is pretty much gone. Last year, just over 15% of his total field goal attempts were at the rim, and he took over twice as many mid-range pull-ups. Now, one would think that this isn't really a big deal, because the guy is literally the most efficient in-between scorer across the league. But regardless of how good KD is from 10 to 15 feet, him not being able to slice all the way to the rim does handicap how reliable he can be as a scorer. And this allows teams to switch and live with KD taking these long twos. It's just him and Sam Hauser here playing one-on-one. And the best look Durant can get to is another long contested two. And Durant's lack of speed also makes it tougher for him to turn the corner out of pick and roll. Look how Brook Lopez here is sitting in a deep drop. And instead of putting his foot on the gas and dusting him, KD again stops and gets funneled into a fadeaway across the paint. And if Durant is initially able to get an angle past his man, he generally doesn't look to explode through contact and into finishes. Watch him get the step past Kuzma, but instead of elevating towards the rim, he picks up his dribble, gets stuck, then gets pushed out into another tough turnaround. And because defenses aren't too worried about that driving threat, that also gives them a license to extend out and apply more pressure. And this is where Durant's loose handle can't get exposed. While Durant's size and length allows him to rise up over smaller matchups, in the same vein, that size also makes the ball more exposed off the dribble, where the defense has more time to make reads and time steals. And while KD is a 15-year vet, there's still times where he gets sped up off the dribble by either being overzealous with his handle or quickly picking up and rushing passes. And because Durant doesn't have the tightest handle, he struggles keeping his dribble alive and absorbing double teams, which again typically leads to him quickly picking up and forcing passes that aren't there.
Hand around his waist.
So because Durant is pretty turnover prone off the dribble, it's tough to expect him to be the primary engine in the Rockets offense. I see him doing most of his work spotting up, attacking second side advantages, or targeting mismatches on the perimeter or in the post. And even with those limitations off the dribble, you can still run some offense through him at spots. So in essence, Durant brings the Rockets exactly what they were missing. They get a guy who can space the floor, consistently create his own shot, and give you an efficient 25 points on a night-to-night basis. Now when switching over and looking at KD's defense, his height and reach still makes him a very effective weak side helper, being able to break up lob passes, disrupt skip passes to the opposite corner, plus just adding another layer of backside resistance.
It's burning through the paint, can't serve.
And then on top of that size, Durant can still move and rotate very effectively, so the Rockets can keep their identity of length and speed with him on the court. Plus, that mobility also makes him very effective at helping and recovering back to his man. Watch him here rotate out to Finney Smith, both taking away his shot and drive. And when defending on the ball, he still has the foot speed to hold his own pretty well in open space. There are times where he gets danced on by super high level scorers, but for the most part, he's good about moving his feet and keeping his hips squared up with the ball. And that, combined with his length, easily makes him a well above average perimeter defender. And no matter where you put him, he's always going to at least tread water. He can switch out and guard Darius Garland in isolation, or navigate screens and bother Luka Doncic as he chisels to the rim.
And got Durant on his hip to step through.
Now, it's also important to note that Durant's not bulletproof as a defender. There's times where he falls asleep off the ball, giving up offensive rebounds or backdoor cuts. His effort on the ball can be pretty inconsistent as well, where he provides little resistance and gives the offense easy looks. He's guarding Dalton Knecht here with both feet below the 3, and this is just an easy size-up jumper. And while KD does provide good size in the paint, he still doesn't have quite the same vertical presence as other elite shot blockers. So obviously in his late 30s, Durant's best days are behind him, but I do like his overall fit in Houston. He brings some much needed floor spacing, you can plug him into actions on or off the ball, plus he still has the game to create his own shot in spots. And defensively, Durant can still hold his own at the highest level, and the Rockets can go big or small with him on the court. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.